Man, that Bakersfield heat has picked up, and so has the calls. So, man, it's a lot of stuff going on, right? We got a new tool. We're gonna talk about that. We got the GE new tool, playing with that a little bit, gonna set that up. I watched a couple of videos, we've had it unboxed, and I'm trying to figure out whether or not it's a good investment to go ahead and get everybody one, or do we just need one in it? Also, working as the business owner, you go through a lot of things. People call off, people getting sick. We're still living in the times where at any minute we can have an increase of pandemic, COVID, I hate to say the word, illnesses. So what do you do? How do you manage with that? If you're by yourself, what happens when you get sick? So we're going through that right now, but in this video, we're just gonna touch on just middle of the month. What do we do to just get everybody invigorated, get excited, and get on out there? So where are we? I'll give you my update.
Look, so day number 2 or 3, I can't remember exactly, but we got the group started up. This is the welcome message. So kind of see what's going on. Introduce yourself if you're in the group already. And we're going to be doing a couple different things in this group, right? We got the group experts in here who's going to speak on a couple of topics. Hopefully I can get Linda in here. She does my books for me, and she does amazing morning kind of message. So it's a certain topic. She usually goes anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. So tips. So what I want this group to be is some tips, and then a springboard to discuss on how you grow in your business. So it's not, a spot where you can come in here and be like how to fix a refrigerator, but if you want a strategy on how to get, your company set up to repair refrigerators, or, what's the profit targets you're looking at, things like that for your tickets, go ahead, join the group. Home Service Business Owners TTC, Top Tier Collective. So go ahead, join the group.
All right, story time, y'all. So at this point, this year, everybody has had COVID. Our family caught it in January. We were down. And then, of course, I've got the weakest immune system, so I was like deer knocking on death's door. Seriously, man, I would call my sister like, hey, this is it. I love you. Nice knowing you. But, it got bad. And, honestly, it's a big thing. It really is. And you really don't understand it until you're affected. So there's plenty of people who lost their lives. And I was still working at the hospitals when everything had broke out, when this pandemic had broken out. And I was getting the updates from, what do we call it? FEMA and everybody else, CDC. And the crazy part about it was, I would get the update from the command center from the hospitals. And at the time, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I had 10 hospitals, right? So I get all these different reports, and they're all spread out from Bakersfield to Stockton, San Francisco, Santa Cruz. So I would get all these different reportings of what's going on in their area, what's their urgency, what their needs are, etc. And man, it was like pandemonium. And even though it's died down a lot, starting a business, everybody's gotten it at my business, right? So everybody's affected in some way, form, or fashion. Folks have lost loved ones, and right now it's starting to come back up again. So we got to be diligent on what we're doing, our masks, our gloves, be mindful of really taking that extra step for social distancing. I love going to the movies, and I started going back to the movies and stuff, but I may have to, I go in the morning too, so it's never really like super crowded, but I may have to just take those extra steps, man, when I go, because I'll be at the Black Panther movie coming out in November. But I don't know. I may have to take a break till then, man, and see how it goes. Um, but we adjust. So we have to adjust schedules around. We do something unique in town. We don't do like the time blocking and keep in mind we're 90% CODs. So we don't time block for our COD customers. We tell them, hey, we're going to be there at 11. We show up at 11. So we really have to be on point on, where we are, our time frame, coverages, things of that nature. So when somebody's not available, and like for instance, tomorrow and like half of Wednesday's schedule is already booked out. So the CSRs, the team lead, they're going to take it upon themselves to do the shuffling to make sure all the calls, we can get to the calls. Maybe we'll have to go to a zone for these next couple of days till we get back up to full strength. But we'll make those adjustments to make sure our customers get served. But our systems allow us to make those type of changes. So that's our dog. Woo! Or the neighbor's dog. Love that dog. But,
Dog talk.
Woo. Woo. Woo.
And let's take a look. So we just finished June 18th today. So a little bit over halfway through the month. 109 appointments in Bakersfield. Okay. So so Fresno, same time period. We've got 57 in Fresno, and so we got 57 plus 109. We have 166 appointments at this point through the month, 18 days in. So that's 9.22 appointments per day. So we are a little bit behind, a whole lot behind where we should be. And why is that, right? So when you're doing your budget, you got to take in consideration, especially if you went through a full cycle of the downtime. And we know here in Bakersfield and in Fresno, folks go out of town during the 4th of July. So they go to the beach because right now it's 107.9 today, something ridiculous. So if you look at July, right, the 1st was on Friday, so folks typically are gone then. They're gone on Monday, and they usually come back Monday or come back Tuesday. So what happens during that time period? If 40% of your target audience, right, people who take vacations, that's typically our target audience, right? Those are people who are going to pay us. If they're gone, then we're going to lose a significant amount of calls. So even though we're on the 18th, the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th is just basically, wiped. So on our budget, we can say July is significantly less on the budget side. So that's the projection revenue is going to be a lot less than a typical month. Now, the upside is we've got 2 solid business weeks left, right? Which is a good thing. So if we take out the 4th and just really focus on what we did last week. So Fresno, 28 calls, and Bakersfield, we scheduled 55 calls. So let's do the math, 28, 55, that's 83. We try to shoot for 75, so we exceeded that number last week. And if you divide that by 7, it's 11.8. So we're right on target, doing a little bit better. So if you look at us keeping that same pace of 11.8 appointments per day versus 9.2, we'll see that increase and get somewhere closer to that 10. And the reason why, we're going to see a lot of those people kind of trickle back in. And keep in mind too, right, people could typically get paid on Friday, so big bulk, right? So if they were out of town and man, they get that first check there, that first check there. It's going to go to whatever they blew during the holiday week to take that trip. So we're looking at this week and this week. That's where the calls are coming in. So it's going to be a good number of calls coming in this week and a good number of calls coming in this week, followed by the continuation of the heat. And man, it's going to be refrigerators. Hey, I want to talk a little bit about expanding territory. So we have this one area. It's far in the mountains, right? And the area that we live in those mountains, it can snow. So right now it's 106 degrees high today. So typically it'll be anywhere from 15, 20 degrees cooler in that area. And what happens is in the wintertime when it's 50 here, it's 30 there. And because they're high elevation, they get snow sometimes. So we have to not go into that area, typically block it off at least 3 months out of the year. This year we kind of expanded it a little bit further because we had so many calls coming just from our base area, right? But what I wanted to talk about is expanding in those areas. So you have to understand certain areas have certain conditions. Every area is not the same. So here we're going to get very consistent on our models in the area. Like I know if I go into certain subdivisions in 93312, they're going to have the same GE wall ovens because they're the same contractor grade build, right? So they're going to have the same ovens, it's going to need the same parts, same latches, same thermofuge tip pops. So we know in that area there's going to be a consistent model. Then also we know in that area there's going to be an average ticket of X amount of dollars, right? Because we get more calls in that area, and that's what that client base demands. We also have another area where we'll get the call volume, but that's where we get the majority of the calls where the owner wants to just kind of get reassurance so they can fix it themselves. So we call it the DIY area, right? So you have to understand your area, and you won't know fully until you go into the area. So this area that we go into in the mountains, the tickets tend to be a higher ticket price because they only have one service company out there, one larger one, and I think there's maybe one or two like handyman local to the town. But when we go up there, there's properties, $600,000-$700,000 properties, and we know we may get 1-2 calls a week in that area, but we know they're going to be a pretty good ticket. So in order to service that area, we know that we can block it off Tuesday and Thursday and say, okay, we'll attack those areas on those days so that way we can get the most impact for our calls when we go up. Okay. Now, and knowing they have a lot of, they have a lot of like I wouldn't say off-brand, but it's higher end stuff, but it's older, some of the older high-end stuff. So we're talking 15 years prior, and that's important to know because we know that type of area is going to need a certain type of technician to go up, right? So either they have experience dealing with a little bit older appliances, or they've went up enough times to get the experience. So growing your business, you're gonna have to just make the decision. There's no right or wrong decision. Experience comes from doing, and just because somebody doesn't have experience at the beginning doesn't mean they won't have experience after they get repetition. So I always suggest about 50 calls is where you get to see I say about 80% of what's going on out there. 80% of the type of repairs, most common repairs, you're going to see those within that first 50 calls, and that's going to determine whether or not you're going to be a good technician that's going to last or not.
So, but there's so many factors in going to different areas. I'll do another video to break down how exactly I determine if the area is good or not, even before taking calls there. So there's a couple things you can do. There's data out there that you can pull up to determine if an area is good or not. So, but hey, till next time.